Let's start with the question. Why are some CS::GO weapons considered noob guns? I have noticed that buying some weapons like P90 shotguns or auto snipers will get you called out for that. However, none of the players telling me that using those guns is newbie have provided any real reasoning. Nor have I found any reasoning when asking the almighty Google. So, I am asking, which is the list of guns that are considered noob guns? What makes them newbie? So how can we solve this? There are 3 possible answers. Answer 1. Something that I feel is not covered as much as it should be is that when a player is accused of using a noob gun, they may often actually be using a noob strat, and then the weapon is unfairly blamed. While much of this discussion can be transferred to noob strats as well, there's one specific examples that I want to mention. MG2 once played a team that, on Court Mirage, bought shotguns every round and hid randomly in one of the 2 bomb sites. The entire team in the same site. Now, at our level their strat was fairly effective when we attacked the stacked bomb site. They had clearly practiced doing this and using shotguns. In addition to this, Mirage was a map that lends itself particularly well to hiding in bomb sites. Now, was there a counter to this? Yes, of course. Learning all the hiding spots. Learning how to peek 'em one at a time using the entire team. And learning the relevant smokes and grenades would all have helped much. But in this game, at this time, my team did not know this. As a result, the outcome of each round was largely random, based on whether we hit the right or wrong bomb site. Needless to say, they never succeeded on a single retake. This is the key to why something like this is considered a noob strat. The outcome of each round is largely randomized. Neither us or the other team can do much throughout the course of the game to help us or themselves. Even more importantly, the other team had gotten to this rank with significantly less work and less effort than we had. Essentially, they were duplicating our success with a fraction of the effort, and offering us no option to fix this within the game. Now, was this a sustainable way to rank up for the other team? Of course not. And I imagine that they are still stuck at MG2 while most of my team has now ranked up past that. But that's not the point. Right then and there, we had no other options, and they almost won against us by pure chance. While this is touched on in the accepted answer, the aspect of randomness in something like this is not addressed. Noob strats and guns are newbie because they succeed from RNG, and not real skill. This makes other players, somewhat understandably, mad, and certainly doesn't help prevent a toxic community. Edit. I see that this answer warrants some clarification. I didn't want to repeat what was said in the accepted answer, but I'm going to go over some of the same things and append to them. Specifically, the idea of skill ceilings. Every weapon and strat in the game has a limit to how successful a team or player can be with it. For some strats, see above, the skill ceiling is fairly low. For other strats it is rather high. This is covered thoroughly in the first answer, so I won't go too far into depth here. The point I'm trying to make though is concerning what happens above the skill ceiling. Specifically, a lot of what happens above that is controlled by RNG. Take for example, a spin bot hacker. Effectively, all this hacker has done is taken the RNG and forced it into their favor. A spin botter can easily beat all professional players, even with a poor weapon. This is the key point. Every bad weapon can become significantly better when the RNG works out in favor of that player. Now, at professional levels this doesn't work all too well, because the chance that a P90 spray and pray will kill an AK player faster than the AK player will kill the P90 sprayer is nearly zero. On the other hand, at lower levels, this becomes quite possible. Now, let's look at this from the low-level AK player's perspective. Someone who has put almost no work into their game can win against someone who is practicing, trying to get better, and has a chance of becoming a good player at some point in the future. At this point, it's no surprise that the AK player might get mad and start yelling N00B in chat. Two more things. You asked what guns are considered newbie guns. The short answer is, none of them. The long answer is that it depends. All guns in CSGO have a legitimate, if very specific, use case. However, in 9/10 cases most of the guns that are called newbie guns are not used in this way. A great example of this is the shotguns. Professional players have found success with them in places such as drop room on cobblestone or ladder room on train. However, this does not mean that you should buy shotguns and try playing those positions. In CSGO, weapon buys is a strategy that needs to be coordinated by the whole team. If you go ladder room, you need to make sure that your team can and does throw the necessary smokes and nades for you to be successful with a shotgun if no tees come ladder. When your team does this, you succeed consistently because of good coordination and team play. When your team doesn't do this, you'll only succeed if you happen to pick those rounds in which terrorists are going to ladder room. You won't be winning from skill, coordination, or game sense, but because of sheer luck. Not only will this make people angry, but it won't help you become a better player or find more success in the future. Secondly, I'm not attempting to excuse the behavior of the players that react to what I mentioned above with anger or something similar. These people contribute to a toxic community. And in most cases CSGO would probably be a more fun game without them. But they are not yelling because they are bored or enjoy doing so. They are yelling for a somewhat understandable reason. Answer 2. I didn't think other answers went enough into detail about why each gun was generally considered newbie. So I am elaborating on that specific aspect of the question. The P90. The P90 is commonly considered a noob gun because it has a lot of bullets and a good fire rate. So you can usually land enough bullets for a kill without really knowing spray control, and while running. It's the noob staple gun because people use it as a crutch for lack of spray control and lack of ability to stop before shooting. And some bad people get salty when they get killed by people they think are using a crutch. The P90 is definitely the least situationally relevant of the noob guns in higher levels of play. It's not good vs ecos because the kill reward sucks and it's expensive. And good players can use a FAMAS or Galil at longer ranges if they need a gun in that price range. The auto sniper, it's situationally useful if you are a CT and have a lot of money and want to hold down certain positions really effectively, such as BAPTs on Mirage. Outside of that, it is considered newbie because it 2 shots to the body and you can just spam it like a turret. Don't have to worry about hitting individual shots as much, so people will take it and just sit still somewhere. It's considered overpowered at lower levels of skill because you can easily hold down an angle vs players who don't know how to counter you. Not used as often against good players since it can be countered by a good AW per or trade fragging. Shotguns definitely the least newbie of your listed weapons. And also the most situationally relevant at higher levels of play. Sometimes used by noobs in all situations who hope to score easy kills around corners. But if you just use it in the situations it's meant for, areas on The map with close angles like apts on Inferno, it's not a noob weapon. Answer 3. There are 2 reasons is CS, Go, and just CS. Both are because people blame others in their own weaknesses. August, SG are a bit more expensive than AK, M4 so you often can't afford it. You don't have to be genius to understand that if you want to play with this gun then just do an eco round, and don't waste all the money you have, but this idea is way too complex for most of CS, Go players. Also in the CS usual game mode defusal scenario, once you die you have to stay dead for several minutes. Not playing. Not having fun. Imagine you finally respawn with a wish to buy August, SG but you lack $100. Get killed by this gun within 30 seconds and have to wait again. This game mechanic makes people who lack skill of money management hate themselves so they start blaming you in chat. Same about Scar because you have low chances to pick it up from the enemy so you have to collect on your own. Another reason is more common and can be found in many games. Most of players are casual players, they don't want to learn and they love to think that the game is enough primitive, allows you to relax and does not need you to think a lot. This works against most of other players but sometimes you get defeated by someone who had lower health and or worse DPS. Damage per second. Weapon, it ruins your theory about the game and makes you hate the player that was just smarter in some specific situation. For example, for this reason in Quake 3 and Quake Live most of players hated CTF4 and Space CTF maps because it's hard to win it with only plus forward and shoot tactic that works much better in other maps. Space CTF map was different in the way that you could see positions of all players in the game in any time. This allowed you to apply tactic related to respawn timeouts and some others, while in usual maps where there are walls around and you don't have full information about the game this tactic is barely applicable. So most of players don't even know about its existence. Also that map had jumpers that could quickly change your position and your usual idea that you can easily take a bigger gun and just block the way for enemy didn't work at all. The game demanded much faster and deeper tactical thinking than other maps, so people who played it the first time were raging because their team could easily lose the CTF match while having 2 times more frags or higher weapon accuracy. The Counter-Strike is essentially about how much time you've spent training headshots. Another big part of this game is Abwart Grenade's team play, but most of players don't reach it and the only thing that matters for them is how much you are able to make a headshot with AK, M4 from the distance. Shotguns and Zeus don't work like that, you need another sorts of skill. Such as close combat ambushing that allows you to kill the whole team with one shotgun cartridge or one-shot the enemy using Zeus without need to aim for the head. I hope these answers helped, and if they did, please drop a comment and subscribe.